You will never find a more wretched hive, scum and
Destiny.
Fulfill your destiny.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Once again, Star Wars Destiny fans, the time has come. I'm your host, Jim the Tank, and I gotta tell you, it's good to be back. It's been a while. I've not been on the TTS scene, just working 2 jobs, 17-hour days, kind of doesn't leave much time for a bit of fun. But I'm ready to have some fun right here, right now, and I hope you're with me. Because continuing where we left off with Tyler Flockton of Golden Dice a few weeks ago, I have delved deep into the archive to find another prominent feature in the Star Wars Destiny scene of old, back in the FFG days, the 2016 to 2020 era, the golden days, if you will. I'm sure many of you, even the newer players, have heard of the mecca of Star Wars Destiny. That was, only like 40 minutes away from where I live, and unfortunately, I came on board too late to ever really partake in that scene. But Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey, that was the place to be if you were a competitive player of Star Wars Destiny. Truth be told, 4 of the 5 largest regional events for Destiny were held at Highlander Games. I go there now. It's a very cool store. The owners are always very hospitable, very helpful. The local scene is very friendly. But who might we have behind this red curtain? I wonder. Who could possibly be the one to talk to about the days of Highlander Games back in that era? None other than the owner himself, Scott Hughes, Highlander Games. There he is, folks. Welcome aboard, Scott.
Hey, Jim, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Certainly, man.
It's quite an introduction.
Well,
Mecca. Wow.
The Mecca, yeah.
Not sure if that's true or not. We're just a humble game store here in North Jersey.
Okay, clearly Scott is known for his humility. So I got to say, I have to thank you because I know we both have very busy schedules. We obviously just went through a whole lot of working the kinks out of the technical stuff. So getting Scott here to share a bit of history with you players, I'm sure you're all very thankful for this. So Scott, I guess where did your journey begin? Probably just with gaming in general. Had to be some passion at some point that sparked in your life.
I mean, gaming is it's a way of life. I mean, most people our age, we grew up, playing games. I mean, back in the day, D&D and various role-playing games. Board games were not what they are today. Back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. And then the 90s come along and card games, exploded, and I would say generally my gaming pedigree has always been more role-playing and board gaming. Just kind of smattering, playing a little Magic here, playing a little Yu-Gi-Oh there, that type of thing. Star Wars Destiny actually, personally, was probably the first collectible. That's not true. No, I really got into the Decipher Star Wars game back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
And the Lord of the Rings game. Those were probably the first 2 that I invested in heavily. I played in heavily.
Right.
For on a personal basis. And then Destiny was kind of my reintroduction to really playing a collectible game on a deeper level.
Right. So you played the old Decipher CCG. That was my first deep dive into gaming and collectible gaming in that regard. Did you play that competitively or just casually?
Well, I mean, competitively as it were. I mean, game stores. Yeah, I grew up on the West Coast, so during that period of time, I lived in California, and there wasn't always game stores, and if there were, it was usually like a comic book store that did some games on the side, So it, maybe they had some foldable tables they popped up in the back or something
Right.
like that. The sort of dedicated local game store that that is so prevalent nowadays didn't really exist as much back then.
Yeah.
So most of the time we were playing at home, just
Right.
just having parties, and maybe a bunch of people get together and hang out and play.
Yeah, I as much as I hate to show my age with this, but sometimes you just got to do it. Boy, the kids these days, they don't know how good they've got it with their game stores, and skateboarding being a Olympic sport, and I don't know, the punk scene not being as rough as it was back in the '80s in the DC area. You got beat up at a show, just because you didn't have your head shaved or something. Yeah, really, guys, seriously. It's so much easier these days.
Wearing your boots a certain way.
Yeah.
You had your Doc Martens cuffed, or you had your Doc Marten, your jeans over the Doc Martens. There was all sorts of weird stuff going on back then.
If you got that look, maybe I should leave. So it's a different world now than it was in the '80s. That's for sure. But yeah, I got into the Star Wars CCG. Great game. Oh my God, so much fun, so cool. I looked into playing it with more than just like my girlfriend and my best friend, and actually went to a comic book shop that had a folding table in the back on Thursday nights to play this game. And it was like me and a bunch of 12-year-olds, and I was too cool for that. I was in my early 20s, and they were just like bickering amongst themselves. I'm out of here. I had no idea there was an actual like OP competitive scene. I was talking to somebody up at Silver Sun Games at their Unlimited pre-release, and he was like, yeah, I'm from Montreal. We had a huge Decipher CCG scene back then. Some of the top players in the world came out of our local. I'm like, oh my God, like where was I for all this stuff? Not that I would have made a splash, but mind you. But great game. And we're going to talk about Star Wars Unlimited going forward at the end of this, and some of the similarities that I think we'll see there. But so gamers,
just a quick add-on about Decipher. We actually have a group here in North Jersey. They do tournaments at the store about every 3 months.
Okay.
They still play the Decipher game. There's probably going to be like 15 to 20 guys that come out, and they do like a quarterly tournament. It's they manage it themselves. I think they actually still design sets and such. It's kind of like what's happening with the Destiny community, man. I mean, players are passionate about the things that they love, and it's one of the things that I love about the gaming community is their ability to just persist with something and throw their effort and their time and their passion into it, and the creativity that comes out of it. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
They refuse to give up, and I'm familiar with I think it's the renewed committee. There's a name for the Star Wars CCG something committee. Boy, I should have studied up on this before we went live. But it gave me hope when Destiny died, knowing that the players of that game have still going 20 years later. And here you are, living proof, saying, yeah, they're not just playing online; they're playing IRL at Highlander of all places, and they've got a good turnout. Yep. I know that they had an arrangement with Lucasfilm, now Disney, and Decipher, where they couldn't design new cards, but they could take like elements of the old cards and like add to them, and then that would be allowed. I mean, not that they're selling this product, but there were some stipulations that they worked out, and they were able to keep it going decades later, and that is so cool. I'm going to need some details from you on when they get together. Not that I'm a good player, but it'd be great to just see those cards kind of coming out again, or maybe even just watch some of that go down. So that's awesome. Now, and we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this later. So we know that that's not a product that Highlander can sell yet as a community game store. Here's a spot for you guys to come on in and play, because there's some details there that I think the community as a whole, we kind of need to figure out how to keep these sort of fan-made games going in some regard and still make it beneficial for everybody involved. But we'll. But you
always have the. I mean, you probably know a lot more about this than I do. The aspect of like you can't make money on it. It's a like a non-profit. If you're using like a licensed product of somebody else's license or what have you. But the store's not selling it. we can charge entry for an event that plays it, and pay out in like store credit or something like that. So players can be playing for something. So it's definitely, there is definitely the possibility of having like a scene of quote unquote dead games that are persevering, and have stores support and run events for them. It's a thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's so yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that a little bit more in here, and then maybe you and I a little later on down the road really get into the nitty gritty on that. So D&D, obviously, I think that's everybody's gateway game to get them into gaming. Some of the collectible card games came out, and just I always loved basic strategy games. My dad and I played them a lot. There was back in like the 60s, 3M of all companies used to make some very high-end board games. I think Avalon Hill bought that line out. It's time for somebody to do something. But they were very simple strategy games, but they were all put in the same size box that looked like a book. It kind of fit on your bookshelf, and they were just like metal pieces.
Bookshelf games.
Yeah, bookshelf.
There was one I loved called Twixt.
Oh, that's one of the best. Well, you build the fences trying to crisscross
Twixt
each
was
other.
amazing.
I have it. It's on my game shelf at home. You see, now you have to come up to Vernon.
I do too, sir.
Some gaming. Okay. So my dad and I, we played Twixt, we played Feudal, we played Jumpin', we played Ploy, like all these classic that he had from like his college days. And that was a big part of like me going, oh, this is fun. It's like, it's so simple, but it's kind of not at the same time. Wow. Okay. We have so much to
really similar experience.
Cover.
My father introduced me to those same games,
Beautiful.
Twixt, Chinese checkers, chess itself.
Chess.
And then we would play the Avalon here, war games, war in Europe, things of that nature, what's that? What was that? Panzer something.
I know the one you're talking about. Yep. I was in Pittsburgh about a month or so ago for a distributor show out that way, and I always look to see like local game shops anywhere I go, and there was a couple there. One of them in particular, though, that the top shelf all the way around the perimeter of the store was vintage board games. A lot of that Avalon Hill stuff, a lot of like the early Games Workshop stuff before they kind of went multi-corporate. It was just good to see the stuff that like I was enamored with as a kid, and there it is on the shelf. Like, wow, that's in multiple copies, because maybe one's kind of beat up, one's got all the pieces, one doesn't. But guys like you and I would just look in there, just stare at that shelf for probably far longer than our wives would like to be seen in public with us. So out of this love for gaming, how was Highlander Games birthed? Where did that come from? What was the initial spark?
Well, my wife and my family and I moved to New York in 2004. So about 20 years ago now, we've been here. My not going into my former career, but my past life of work was something 180 degrees different than that. I fell in with some local gaming groups, and had a gaming store here and a gaming store there, and then had a really eventually kind of landed in a really tight gaming group in North Arlington, of all places, a little store called Reality's Edge.
Okay.
And I played HeroClix really passionately. Played it a lot. Played it competitively. Collected. Was a really dedicated player, it's kind of a superhero miniature game. And then a friend of mine that I played with, he decided to open his own store over in like Hasbrook Heights area or something like that, Carlstadt, something like that.
Okay.
Off of 17. And it was just his passion project. I think it was called the Gamer's Grotto, and it was just like a little like a side business for him, and we all played there, and it was great. It didn't last. It was maybe a couple of years, and then we were kind of homeless gamers, and I lived out here in Morris County, and was like, there's not really a game store. I mean, there were game stores around, but they were all like kind of like a donut. There was like this little vacuum. This was about 12 years ago. You had some nice, wonderful, legacy stores like Time Warp. It's been, been around for a long time. And, total aside, but, we lost Dave, the owner of Time Warp last year. one of the things I always said about Time Warp is that no matter what or where stores are at now, that store is literally OG. Back in the '80s, they opened up as a comic book and game store. So
Yep.
we're talking about like, oh, not really having game stores, and that place really was a game store from the beginning. I
Okay.
always respect that about them. But that was some distance from us, so we were homeless gamers, and I wasn't doing anything. My work. I had left my past career, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna open up a game store. So
I love
I
it.
looked around, and I lived in Denville at the time,
Mhm.
and I loved downtown Boonton as a
Mhm.
town and the feel of it. Found this funky little space. My friends were like, "What the hell are you doing? That doesn't even make sense." They knew nothing,
Yeah.
So I'm like, This is what I'm doing." They're like, "Well, if you got a vision for it." So we opened it up, and we were this tiny little place, and my focus was a comfortable space. I
Mhm.
wanted I wanted dedicated gaming space that was clean and comfortable, and where you felt like a place you wanted to go and play games. It
Right.
wasn't like the folding tables that were popped up in the back as an afterthought.
Yeah.
It was decent tables, comfortable chairs, and comfortable atmosphere. Um, and we just started growing.
Oh
Had
yeah.
the opportunity to take over the space next to us and the
Mhm.
building next to us. So we became this sort of, I mean, we're still kind of a weird little store. We got
Yeah.
like these two sides and
Yeah.
two buildings and stuff. And it's different, but you know what? It works for us.
Let's not even talk about using the bathroom in the main building, having to climb the ladder to get up to
It's the
the
Indiana
roof.
Jones bathroom.
Yes,
It's
it's
like you expect a boulder to
mhm.
start rolling down, when you're exiting, and you got to like run for the door before it smashes you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an adventure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, as
Yeah,
Scott
when you need
knows,
to take a piss, what you want is adventure, right?
that's exactly what I want, especially when you've got a 2-year-old with you with a big bag full of diapers and wipes. So I bring my daughter Audrey to the unlimited drafts and pre-releases and stuff at Highlander. And the bathroom in the lower store, okay, easy enough. We just go right in. But the bathroom in the upper level, having to do the ladder sort of to get up there. But once you get in the bathroom, it's very nice, very palatial. Could do cartwheels in there. But getting there is definitely an adventure. You had said about a side note earlier, and it made me think. So when you mentioned Dave's Time Warp comics, what are the chances that just this afternoon I was there for the first time ever? I was up the road at the Willowbrook Mall in a meeting with Dave and Buster's. We've got a big event I'm hosting there Friday night for our company and our top dealer. And I was like, wow, I've
Sure.
never been there, and it's right down the road. I might as well check it out. And yeah, nice little store, very friendly staff. They did not
Yep.
have any unlimited product, so I dodged that bullet. My wallet was happy. Um, but yeah, cool place, and I definitely heard of it. I never made it out down that road. So there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a great place. It's a
mhm,
great place.
mhm. So I didn't.
Yeah.
I knew Dave's name was associated with. I'm sorry to hear that he passed.
I I,
Um,
I actually think they officially refer to themselves now as Dave's Time Warp.
that's what it
Um,
says on the Google. Yeah, yeah.
yep,
All right,
absolutely.
very
And
cool.
and rightfully so,
Yeah,
because he was the heart and soul, and he was taken suddenly and
mm,
far too soon.
damn.
He's our age, Jim.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's scary. I hear that stuff all too often, and I don't. La 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 la. Like,
Yeah.
not cool. I mean,
Just
these
makes
are
you
all.
live. You got to live every day, man.
Yeah.
You gotta live every day. Well, you got a beautiful little girl and a family, and you just focus on those things and enjoy each day as it comes.
I'm doing my best, brother. I really am. So what year did Highlander officially open?
Officially opened in 2013.
13. Okay. And then so what were some of your big in the early days, like Pokemon, Magic, Warhammer?
But we were a big HeroClix community, obviously,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that was that just bred in, and
Mhm.
we played the game at a high level, and it had such a strong following that I mean, I think in my first year, I was running large, like regional events back in the day. They called them WizKids Opens because WizKids is the company that makes
Mhm.
HeroClix,
Mhm.
and we would run these regional events with like 60 and 70 players
Wow.
back in sort of the heyday of that. And I was renting a hall up the street at the the Elks Lodge, a couple of streets over in downtown Boonton, and we run these big events over there. But you know, I opened a game store because it's like I love games.
Right.
What would be better than owning a game store? I'll play games all the time, and
Sure, you will.
it it's such a two-edged sword because you become totally open-eyed to this world of gaming that you don't necessarily always see as a customer. You kind of customers you sort of have and this is not a bad thing, but you have sort of blinders on. Like you like what you like and you steer towards those things, and that's fine. And as a game store owner, all of a sudden I'm like, it's like a kid in a candy store. Oh my God, this, that, woo. And it's funny, I fell in love with Fantasy Flight. I had never really I think I played like Twilight Imperium back in the late 90s when, it first come out or what have you, or, some point. But I didn't really know much about Fantasy Flight per se. And they were kind of kicking up the living card games at that point.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with these games. The old Lord of the Rings game, the original Star Wars living card game, and Call of Cthulhu, and Game of Thrones. They were fantastic, and I loved the company. I loved how they produced things, and so we started running, regular events for that. Obviously Magic and stuff like that kind of kicked in, and Pokemon and what have you. But when I fell in love with Fantasy Flight, the board games and everything that came along with it, and we really created a culture at Highlander where we focused on gaming, that wasn't just card games. It was board games, and it was miniature games, and not, yes, Games Workshop, 40K, but other things too. So that led into big X-Wing communities and big Armada and Legion. And then Destiny came out, and we were like primed because we had a night of the week that was our Star Wars night, and all we did was Star Wars games, and the store was packed. We had people filling tables over there playing X-Wing, and tables over there playing Armada, and we did there's this fantastic Star Wars strategy game called Rebellion. It's a two-player strategy game by Fantasy Flight. If you haven't played it, check it out. It's fantastic. Big, meaty, hours-long strategy game for 2 players only. It's really, really unique. We had like 24 players come out for a Rebellion release event board game. It was crazy. We streamed it. Fantasy Flight was like, what the hell are you doing over there? It was cool,
Right.
So we Fantasy Flight had an organized play staff at the time that we would interact with, and we kind of I think we kind of got on their radar a little bit. And then Destiny landed, and it was just it was ready. Everybody was ready for it, and just everybody got into it. Our locals got into it. We immediately had a huge local community of Destiny players, and was interesting. None of us were necessarily card gamers. We were board gamers. We were miniature players.
Interesting.
And
right place at the right time, just like lightning striking, and like there it was. Wow. Okay. Well, for those who aren't aware, I'm wearing this particular hat for a reason. I can scroll away from this the unusual rejects because we know who those morons are, and we can take a look at that. That is the Highlander Games logo, as you see there on this cool sort of bluish, purplish, blackish, backgroundish, logo-ish thing. So, who designed your logo there, the sword and the stone?
Actually, interestingly enough, some good friends of ours, their daughter went to NJIT as a web designer and studying graphic arts.
Okay.
And I had an old logo that was sort of it was kind of like a horizontal sword going through and such. I wanted something a little bit more professional, and she was working for a web design company in Chester, New Jersey, and she designed it for us. Nice. She was an amateur, did it as side work for me. Her name is Elise Folkerts, just a really lovely lady, and I think she just nailed it. I loved it.
Oh yeah,
from the start.
Yep.
Just really captured it, and it. I guess I'll say it just real fast. I mean, why did I pick Highlander as the name? And
there can be only one. by the way.
I was.
Just so you know.
There can be only one, you know. Well, you know, the movie obviously has always been a personal favorite of mine. By the way, rumors that they're remaking it with Henry Cavill, which is phenomenal. I'm like totally jazzed for that, you know. Um, so Highlander the movie, loved it. Hero clicks on a lot of games have the Highlander rule, which means you can only play one element of any, you know, of any, like if every element is unique. You can only play one of any element, so there can be only one. They call it the Highlander rule, and Hero clicks use that Highlander rule.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about things, and I'm kind of thinking of the things I love, and then I realized that Boonton, in this area of New Jersey, is actually the beginning of the geographic region of the New Jersey Highlands. So we literally are in the Highlands. We're Highlanders.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
the northwest corner of the state is called the New Jersey Highlands. So I was like, hey, we literally are Highlanders.
Yeah.
So there we are.
All right, and you can see the what the highest point in the tri-state area is right by me. You can see the tower that they put on there. I forget what the heck that's.
High Point?
High Point State.
Really original, isn't that?
Yeah, right. very Australian. So yeah, well, driving around, we see that, and it's like, yep, that's our highest point. But I mean, being up in that part of New Jersey, in the northern part, not the Jersey Shore that we know about from MTV. Thank you very much. It's just beautiful areas, mountains. Driving to work, I drive over 5 lakes on land bridges. Like, who gets to do that? Well, this guy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And downtown Boonton is very nice. My middle daughter's boyfriend lives like a block away from you guys, and I'm a little jealous because that's such great food, shops. You don't have to. You can walk around the town. Very quaint. Has that old sort of old world feel to it, which is missing all too often.
Does.
Wow. So this would have been. Let's get to the next slide here. Would Star Wars Destiny at Highland Games with this red background here, exclusive pre-release event. So was this like 2016 when this was actually coming out? Do you recall?
It was. It
Wow.
was. This was the first promotion that I made for the first pre-release, and we were there was only a limited number of stores that actually were able to do pre-releases back then. It wasn't something that they made available to everybody. And with I was running a lot of organized play events with a lot of the living card games and X-Wing and such. We had already done some premier X-Wing events and such. So they, I heard about it. We were jazzed. I reached out and we got awarded one of the pre-release events. So we were really excited about that.
Nice. So that truly is exclusive pre-release. That's not just hype. That's legit exclusivity. Wow. And I did not come on board until almost the very end. I came on board right before Covert Missions came out. Unfortunately, I didn't hear about the game. Nobody clued me in. But from hearing some of the stories, like Awakenings, there was more demand than there was supply, and so a lot of people were like, just couldn't get the product. Do you recall any of those issues?
I do. Interestingly, I'm not quite sure why. We got a lot of Awakenings product.
That's why nobody else
I
got
ordered
it.
a
Now
lot
we
of it.
know. Okay, we know where it went.
It's funny. I actually, I do remember there was a little bit of bitterness.
Oh boy.
Locally, but I pre-ordered a lot of it. I ran and supported a lot of Fantasy Flight games, and Fantasy Flight back then had a system in place where the stores that were supporting their product were the stores that had were kind of first in line.
Right.
And they're not so much into that now. But and Destiny was, I mean, like comparing it to Unlimited, Destiny was a much smaller game. I don't think it was produced in the size that Unlimited has been produced in, and the gaming business in general has changed a lot in this last decade. Just the gaming world is huge now in comparison, even in just 10 years time. So, I've always had the idea of preserving enough product to run events within store to support what we want to do in the store. Kind of started with Destiny with that idea. It was my first experience with that, and I was like, okay, yeah, I've got, like 200 boxes. So I sold a bunch of it, and then I was like, okay, well, we're gonna give, we had leagues we were running, and giving out prizes, box prizes for league, and packs here and there, and I wanted to make sure that people were coming out and playing for something that they wanted on a, week after week, rather than just sell it all and make some nice coin, but then not have anything to support what we wanted to do in the store.
Right. Yeah.
So kind of the same thing we carry forward with Unlimited now, because Unlimited is sold out.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Currently.
Yeah, that's
Yep, and we're still running a draft on Sunday.
Okay, and I hope to be there. I've already put word in with the powers that be that Sunday is going to be.
There we go. There we go.
A daddy auto day. So be ready. Well, that's really good. So that was the pre-release. We had some obviously, so lots of big events. You're looking at the Destiny Regional Championships of 2017, so that would have been probably the following year. Then you get into whatever year this is, Destiny Regional Championships. So once again, so this is Fear and Dead Men, whatever year that would have been with Across the Galaxy. But I mean,
I think we ran it. I think we ran the regionals 3 years in a row. 17. No, we ran it in 16. There wasn't a regionals in 16.
Okay.
There might have been. We ran it 3
new.
or 4 years in a row. 2019 was, I believe, the really big one where we got to we had 90 players out at our regional.
We're gonna get into that. That might actually be 90 players showing up. So I came to your Unlimited pre-release where you had 40 players, and that place was packed.
Mm-hmm.
What in the blue hell did you do with 90 people in New Jersey?
The store was laid out differently back then.
Okay.
The store was actually where the game lounge is, the front where our game library is. That was actually the retail shop.
The store, yeah. When I first came there, that's how it was set up. It was down below, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the building next to it was just a gigantic game room, and there was no product over there. It was just so we sat like I think for card games we could seat close to 70 players in the what we called the game center at that time. And then we still had the two back rooms, and we had one of the upstairs rooms, which we called the tavern at the time. You probably remember back in the day, the upstairs tavern.
The first time Faye and I went there pre-COVID, that's where I met Robert. Rob was upstairs in the D&D tavern, and
and that sat almost 30 people up there.
Wow. Okay. So
we were actually able to run about 120 people at the store back then, back in the day.
Oh my God. I can't. I mean, my mind is blown here by. So playing Destiny today, like, hey, can we get a dozen people? Can I hear 10? What have we got? So 90, 120, like these numbers. Just, I mean, at a local. Now we're not talking about like Gen Con or Worlds or something. I'm talking a local. So this scene was like the place to be, literally, if you played Destiny back then.
There were players that traveled. I mean, I remember.
I see.
I mean, this is a long time ago, but there was like a Connecticut crew.
The Hyperloops guys.
They were brothers, the Terwilliger brothers.
Okay.
Chris, this guy named Chris Terwilliger.
Yep.
He came down a lot, and he brought a crew with him. There was a bunch of people from New York that came out. Another guy named Chris, I forget Chris's last name, from New York, and Rob Nozak, and these other people that came out from Long Island and New York. And whenever we ran our big events, they just all came. It was great.
Looking at this photo, I see a purple Hyperloops hoodie. Somebody's back to us. I'm curious if is that Mike Gem by chance? Is that Bobby Sapphire?
Might be.
I'd have to zoom in on that.
Do you remember there was it was a podcast, it was a website down in Orlando, Florida. The couple that ran it were Jason and Jason Brame.
Jason and Kim.
Chance Cube,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So they, for the huge regionals we had, the 90-person regionals, they came up and streamed in our store. It was amazing.
so
So
cool.
back in the back room, the downstairs back room was
Mhm.
dedicated. We had all that was our streaming room, and they streamed
God.
the top matches with live commentary. We had
Okay.
the next room,
Mhm.
the watching it, and so there was like a separation. So there was like literally
Yeah.
there was like a hosted like 2-player commentary over the top match.
Yes.
It was
That
just so
is so
cool.
cool. Yeah, I've spoken with Jason a few times. The first Destiny podcast I ever discovered was Chance Cube, and then my world just kind of opened up from there. But I remember talking with Jason, bought some cards off him on eBay.
Yep.
He was the one.
Nicest couple.
Yeah, and I know Kim through Parker Simpson, and they do a podcast now, Bored Out of My Mind, where they're talking about like getting a board game idea actually on the table and the whole process that you go through.
That's
Very,
cool.
very, yeah. I'll send you a link. It's really great show. So yeah, great people. But I remember picking Jason Brain's brain about their setup, because they were known for having a really good setup for doing a live stream of matches, the lighting, the cameras, and everything. So he told me the equipment to get when we were trying to do the same thing up at Silver Sun. Again, kudos to him. So they came up for that. I see.
They reached out to me. Somebody knew them, and I
Okay.
knew him, obviously, Chance Cube, and they were like, it's funny, Jim. I mean, I haven't thought about this in years,
Yeah.
and I didn't really think about it at the time. But yeah, they reached out and they were like, your regionals are like the place to be. We'd love to come. He asked me, he's like, we'd love to come up and stream at your regionals. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, you're welcome. Yeah,
That is so cool.
Now that I think about it posthumously, it was like crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, this was the Mecca. This was the place that everybody talked about, whether they were local or otherwise. Like everybody knew about Highlander. And that's why I had to get you on this show and talk about these days. And I was hoping to jog your memory a little bit and come up with some of these little factoids. Actually, you know what? I learned recently factoid means a fact that's not correct. So factoid's the wrong word. Little fact tidbits, whatever
Really?
you want to call it. Yeah. That's we
Wasn't that the term they used? Do you remember back in the day? It was like headline news or something like that, and they had the little pop-up factoids.
that.
I thought that's where that term. The first time I heard that.
Well, from what I understood from when I learned about this recently, so a factoid was originally an incorrect fact, but it's been used so often as just a little fact, just a little tidbit, that it's kind of, the meaning has kind of changed just socially to now just be that. It's like, yeah, it's just a little fact, a little factoid. Yeah, we call a horseless carriage a car, because we just simply shortened it to the word in the middle there.
Shortened carriage.
Yeah. So little things like that, just over time, like, I'm not saying that. I'm just going to call it a car. I'm just going to call an omnibus a bus, because omnibus doesn't roll off my tongue so well. So things like that. There's a little factoid for you right there. So I'm seeing two. Later, I wish I'd zoomed into this picture earlier to see if I saw more familiar faces. I see two, I believe, Hyperloops purple hoodies. I see an Arrowbrook Gaming shirt, and I'm trying to figure out who that is. I don't think that's Drew. I didn't really know those guys, but
Was that Drew Warren?
Drew Warren, yeah.
Yeah. Drew Warren came out to Unlimited Draft last week, and I hadn't seen him in years.
Did he really? And that's the weekend I wasn't there. Are you serious?
Yep.
Son of a.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be out on Sundays. So.
Okay, well I'll make a point to take some selfies with him, because
It was Drew. What was Drew's brother's name? There were two of them that played.
Yes, there were two of them. And oh my god.
Yeah. In the second, so the picture with Rob. Have you gotten there yet?
Let's go to. We're going to scroll ahead to the picture of Robert Smith. No, not the Robert Smith of The Cure. The Robert Smith. With the
yes, the hairier
Robert Smith. And
less
the beard
makeup,
is still,
more beard.
Yeah, the beard's still looking good, but it's a lot more impressive these days, I tell you.
Look at how young he is now. For those who don't know, Rob is my partner in crime now. He has joined the Highlander ownership team, and he and I run the store together.
Yeah.
That picture, though. So to the right of Rob, there's a gentleman in a blue pullover. That gentleman is Ben Chung. Ben is one of the smartest people I ever meet. He's a world champion in various games. But right over Rob's head, all the way to the back, you'll see a little guy back there.
Okay.
Um, Young boy.
With the scruffy blonde hair there?
I don't know how many of you know this, but that is so one of our gamers has been coming to our, ever since we opened. I've known Ed, his dad, and young Isaac. That is young Isaac Arnold Berkovitz, who was the Destiny World Champion in 2019 when he was 13 years old.
No
He's a bit of a wunderkind. He's
way.
been the HeroClix World Champion twice.
Wow.
And that's him right over there. He was learning how to play,
Oh my
and he
God.
was actually the first year he won the HeroClix World Champion. He
Mhm.
also won the Destiny World Championship, where they were holding it up at the Fantasy Flight Game Center
Yep.
in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah.
He went there with his dad. Both he and his dad played competitively at our store,
Mhm.
and he pulled it down. He is
Jeez.
a former world champ of this great game.
And where is he now? Do we know? Does he still come in? Like this? I need to shake
So
this guy's hand.
Isaac will be at the store tomorrow, playing in a HeroClix. We have a Rock qualifier, a Realms Open Championship qualifier for HeroClix tomorrow. But
Mhm.
he is in his first year at Columbia University.
Of course.
He is coming out from the city to play in a HeroClix event at the store tomorrow.
That's
Excuse
so
me, on
cool.
Saturday, not
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, he's an amazing young man, and he's still only a freshman. I mean, this is like how young he is. This is from
That's
5 years ago or 6 years ago, and he's a little munchkin.
right. Oh my God. So you
I don't
had
know how many of you guys have met him or how you guys remember him at all, but yeah, it was a big story in the Destiny world because
Mhm.
here's this young kid who goes to Minnesota and
And
beats all
takes
those
him all down.
older people at their game.
Yeah, at their game, exactly. I know. Speaking of world champions, I know Edwin Chen was New York
Edwin
based.
Chen,
Did he play at Highlander
all the time,
all the time?
absolutely.
See, you
Yep.
guys just bred
Edwin,
champions.
so we did like weekly events and league, and then we had a monthly. We called it our monthly big event. So original. And Edwin was part of the New York crew. They came out every single month.
Okay.
They kind of carpooled together. There was
Mhm.
probably like 9 or 10 players. Um, so yeah, Edwin was a regular. I think he played at the Uncommons in the city, which is
Okay.
like a local board game bar where they played Destiny.
Nice.
I went in there a couple of times and played with them,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Wow.
yep, Edwin, legendary player.
Yep. Yep. Wow. And I know Golden Dice was in that area as well. Jack and his crew. So you had
Hmm.
Alan Preston used to come down from upstate,
Yep, I
and
remember Alan.
yep. Um, this is literally like a who's who revolving door of Destiny royalty from back in the day. And so you were there to usher everybody in and make all this happen. Did this just kind of it just happened, or was there any kind of push? Any looking back, was there something specific that was like, yeah, I'm glad I did that because that kind of opened the door to XYZ.
I think because we grew the game right off the bat locally.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a local player base of 20, 30 players, and they grew from there to probably 30, 40 or 40 players. And that was our local, like, our league, our weekly leagues, our weekly meetups, monthly events, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had good players. I mean, obviously,
Yeah. Clearly.
a gentleman by the name of Dan Lawler became our tournament organizer. Dan played the game passionately. He traveled. He went and he would help judge at other events, and ran our local leagues. But we had just everybody was really solid.
Yeah.
Ken Kwok and Quentin Chan and just Isaac and Ed.
Yeah.
There's multiple world champions there. So I think having all of those players, when you travel, you want to go to an event where you're going to have a lot of players because
Mm-hmm.
then you get to see a lot of different decks, you get to see a
Sure.
lot of different play styles, and that's how you get better. And so I think, the competitive players from other areas started traveling to our store regularly because they knew that it was going to be, a big event. There was going to be plenty of players there, and it was going to, it was going to be a high level of play, and then that just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, so it's a very attractive prospect. That is so cool. So moving on from Robert, I know we get into some more pictures of more players. Probably, I mean, if we really put a magnifying glass to this, there's probably a lot of familiar faces in that group.
Yep.
Then we've got, so you were mentioning, I think, a couple of these two guys going head to head here with their black play mats.
Yeah.
Who are these two again? I think you had mentioned their names earlier.
That's actually Quentin Chan and Ken Kwok there.
Okay.
Two of our regular weekly players, really strong, passionate players of the game. Below there, this was a special event that we had, an annual event we used to run for International Tabletop Day, and we did a big Destiny tournament to end that. That's actually Anthony Medvez, who used to be a partner of ours.
Yeah.
I forget who was taking the picture, but it was somebody that's Lucas's autograph on the R2D2 card.
Lucas Flitzinger. I think I've seen that card. That's as soon as you sent that to me, I'm like, I know that card. Okay. So
they were. What's that?
What was Lucas at one of these events, or somebody just had that to share?
No, I've never met him. I corresponded with him a couple of times, few times here and there, but never met him. Somebody was at a convention, and he signed some cards for them to bring back to the store to give out as prizes for us because he had heard about us and wanted to, just some nice swag type of thing.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's it. You see the layout of the way the game center is there as compared to it is now. Paul Johnson, local player. When you scroll down, you see the three guys there. That was our first league, maybe our second league, second set. But the gentleman in the middle with the beard, that's Dan Lawler. He was our tournament organizer.
Oh, let me get to that picture. There he is. Yep. Okay. With your logo in the background. Yeah. So what these boxes were these boxes they won, or were these boxes? Wow.
Yeah. That was yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
So Dan Lawler. So he was your judge, your rules guy.
He was.
That was his gig.
He was.
Okay. Man,
and I forget this gentleman's name. He had won one of our big events that we ran, and I got into the habit. I love to make these custom play mats, and I would I'd pull down images from the internet, or this is a movie shot, obviously, and I'd just make these little like custom mats for each of our big events, so they'd have the date on there.
Yeah, there's your technological terror right here.
Yep.
Yeah. So who is that's holding that?
I don't remember his name. He was a really good player, a regular face in the top cut. But I am not. He was a player that traveled. He wasn't one of our local players. He traveled to play.
Right, you get a pass on that. Yep. But that is a gorgeous play mat. Just the hint of the Death Star in the background coming up through the clouds, and then of course the technological terror with the date and the Highlander logo. That is something that I think anybody would be proud to show that off and play on it, and hope they don't spill their coffee on it. So this became a regular thing. So you had that one, then you went into Red 3 here with Biggs Darklighter. So this was what year would this have been? This was third place. So 2019.
This was 2019. Okay. This was the 90-person regionals, and I made these playmats as a surprise. Well, actually, no, I did promote them ahead of time. So I made a series of playmats for first, second, and third place, and I loved the idea of Red Squadron from the Battle of Yavin, and Luke is Red 5 because he's down the pecking order, I mean, Wedge Antilles is Red 2, he's the wingman. Red 1 is he's the leader. So I pulled off, and we had these arts made. So if you scroll down to that, you see Red Leader Wedge is the ace flyer. That was the champion playmat, and then I used a quote from each of them: accelerate to attack speed. the Target Mart over Boonton on the outline of New Jersey is sort of like the same target mark for the you know the porthole on the Death Star.
Yep.
And then, you know, Wedge was red too, you know, look at the size of that thing.
Cut the chatter red too.
And then Biggs Darklighter there is red 3. So that was the top 3, but I had a surprise playmat and I couldn't find a picture of it. I made a Jet Porkins playmat for last place. And my friend Rob Nozak, just a great guy, a good friend, lives way out in like Nassau County, Long Island, and would come to every one of our big events. He would travel out. He came all the way out to play in the event, and Rob is a good player, but it just wasn't his day. And he came in last place, and it was like I couldn't have been happier. I was so disappointed. He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Rob, but you get to play that." And it was a Jet Porkins, and it said, you know, what was his quote? What is the quote on that one? It said, "I can hold it.
I can
hold it."
Yep. So it's so funny how similar you and I are, how much we think alike, because Scum and Destiny, or Tank's Jankyard specifically, which is a sort of sister project of Scum and Destiny, has made last place playmats for Gen Con. One was made for the Silver Sun Regional, and it's simply our logo in the middle, and then the typical Star Wars scroll saying, you know, I played Star Wars Destiny at Gen Con 2023, and all I got was this lousy playmat. And my friend Casey's son won that at Gen Con, and then proceeded to play on it for the rest of the event, and like was on fire with it. So there's, you know, it could be the good luck charm that you got Porkins over there. But that's I love the motif of last place being poor Jack. But these, man, again,
I love it. You know, it's just a nice. It's a nice recognition. It's a nice feel, you know, and it's just about sort of the gaming community that you build, you know.
Yeah, it does.
Do you remember Poe and Thermal?
Yeah, well, do
you remember that combo?
That's where we're going here right now. The Poe cannot special a Thermal if you discard it from his hand. Fieldmatic. So what is going on here? What are we looking at in this?
That's Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Do you remember Clancy Brown at the drill sergeant? He's like, he cannot throw a grenade if if his hand is disabled, you know? So when I forget, it was it was still in the first set, right? And everybody was, you know, Thermal Detonator was all over the place. Yeah. And people, there was this rise in the people thinking that this Poe combo with I forget exactly the wording on the Poe card, but it was basically a 2-for combo to be able to action out another you know, another card. So he would ramp up into, you know, Thermal Detonator and 2-for it. But the feel, you know, the what's his name from the Force Awakens. He was basically, you know, discard. So somebody made it as a joke. Is like, you know, you discard from Poe's hand, you know, Poe's hand to get rid of the Thermal Detonator. It was funny.
I love stuff like that. Oh, of course. And that's so Unkar Plot and so I watched Starship Troopers a lot when I was painting my 40K, my Space Marines, because that was so like, you know, Marines versus Tyranids, which we need that movie. But this is freaking classic. Do you remember who won those top 3 playmats by any chance in the 2019 Red Leader Wedge?
I don't.
God, I've never seen.
I do not remember who the winner of that regional championship was.
He looks so good.
The Fantasy Flight had a tournament software back then, but I think it's defunct.
That's what I believe so. I believe that's right. Wow. So after having fun with that, so you did more stuff. Speaking of having fun, you made some of your own cards for the 2018 Jersey
same
regionals.
Event.
Yeah.
Or was that the 2018
That's
event?
The 2018,
and I printed a bunch of them, so they became things that we would hand out. But we had some ones that we printed a bunch that were like participation, and then we had some ones that were, you know, we kind of printed less of them, you know, to make them sort of like top finishers and what have you. I wanted it to have like a jersey feel. Yeah. So, you know, Goodfellas is as jersey as you get,
jersey
right?
As you get, yep.
So, and I thought Friends in Low Places and Goodfellas was like a perfect match. Yep. So I put the guys on the Goodfellas scene with Ray Liotta, you know, laughing in the bar with you know, with Joe Pesci and
That's great. And
Yep.
it's not Friends in Highlander.
Oh, it
places.
actually says right there. Yeah, New Jersey Regionals 2018.
That's how I knew.
Forget about it.
That's how I cheated and got that in there. So so you did the card. You did the Outer Rim Outpost as what is it? What would you say? I can't see.
So that was Trump's Taj Mahal down in Atlantic City, and I made it Nalhutta.
How prophetic! Years before Trump was doing his thing. Wow. Yep.
Well, actually, I think he was president, right? 2018.
Was he?
So
oh yeah, that's right. 2016. Okay, he was president during the golden era of Destiny, and so I still have packs of these like
that's amazing.
Like, they still exist. This is how these are the stupid things I hold on to. Because there's in the backs of the cards,
fantastic.
Dropping your logo on there. Hopefully this doesn't get you busted. Okay, but this is not nobody sold this. Just to be clear, looks great. Looks great. Did you have anything to do with this by any chance? The Nicky Morgan. So to back this up, Nicky and Brad Morgan, they played at Highlander. They were younger but pretty competitive players. After the
I remember Brad specifically.
Okay. When the plug was pulled and the game kind of dropped, some of my Scum and Destiny buddies and I we bought Nicky's collection, and his card and his brother's card just happened to be in with that. But this is one of the actual FFG promo cards, and then these the text, the Destiny regionals and the score and everything were kind of just, you could feel them like they were put on after the fact. So I didn't know if that was something you guys did for the top players or somebody just did that for them as a tip of the hat to them. But pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I don't remember, but that is cool. That is very, very cool. 13 of 78 for the 2018.
Yeah, and his brother,
nice.
Brad, was 21 of 78. Also went 5 and 3, but the strength of schedule. So that was February 16th, 2019. And these are that was the 2019. Yeah. Well, 2018, 2019 Destiny, I mean, from what it says at the top of the card there. But these were I believe the incorrect Tinker cards that had a 1 cost resource. It was actually supposed to be a 0 cost. Somebody printed them incorrectly. Good use for a card that you can't use otherwise. So that worked out well.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you guys were always having fun.
Look at you out in front of the old store.
Yeah. Speaking of having fun. So the first time that my wife and I stopped by, it was one evening. It was when the commerce side of Highlander was down in the lower store. Like I said, Rob was upstairs in the D&D lounge, and this was like a big deal for me. I mean, I was going to I don't want to say religious, but this was like a spiritual event. Like, oh my God, there's so much history here that I'm going to check out. And Rob gave us like the full tour of the place, and we got to talking. He's like, wait a minute, you were DJ Humongous at QXTs? I was there for that. I was like, yeah, it's DJ Drago too. He's like, oh my God, I was there for that too. So a small world. Everybody kind of knows everybody in the gaming community. But I was proud to stand outside and can't take my picture with you with the logo. And I put it up on Facebook. I'm like, guys, look where I just was. So there's a lot of people who have a lot of reasons to thank you for all that you did for the community. The hard work that you put in, the seats that you offered to so many butts, and just man, you made it happen back in the day. That was, and you're still going strong. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just talking about one specific game here, and that was the end all be all place to be.
Game stores are such a different, unique kind of business, and it really is. It's so cliche, but it's community. I mean, it's the players and the people that come out to a store that really make a store and lend to the community and the richness of it and the interactions that take place. And honestly, the guy running the store is a really small part of it. I mean, when you got 40, 50, 60 people out, it's such a everybody is inputting into a shared experience. Yeah. So when people take away that they had a great time, it's the good time that every individual put into it that makes that. It's a culture, it's an environment, and I am the luckiest person in the world to be able to do this for a living.
Yeah, true, very true. It's all too often that people will take their passion and try and earn a living at it, and either can't earn a living or their passion ceases to be their passion because it's now their job. So those who can do what they love and make ends meet doing so is just like that's the ultimate dream. As I told you earlier, I used to work for the Misfits, which I had been a huge fan of, as a teenager and growing up into my 20s and stuff. And
you worked for Danzig?
Not the Danzig Misfits, the post Danzig Misfits.
Good.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this on a podcast, but I really, really dislike Glenn Danzig.
We'll talk later. We got some stories to share. I'm sure.
I have some friends of mine that were from Arizona. Friends of mine had a band in northern Arizona, and they were opening for Danzig, this little local show. And there's a rather infamous video clip.
The Northside Kings.
Of one of my friends in the back hall having an altercation with Glenn Danzig.
I know,
when he
everybody
freaking leveled him.
Lays him out. So you know those guys. You know the Northside Kings.
I do.
Oh my God! Talk about a small world. So
the Kings,
the Destiny players who are watching are going, Danzig who? Northside what? Just do a quick search on YouTube for the Northside Kings. Danzig knockout.
Yeah, Northside Kings, Danzig, or Danzig knocked out. Yeah, either of those.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is a small freaking world, man. Oh geez. So
you hear about the show he just did in New York?
No.
They had a Misfits reunion show.
Oh, I know about them.
Erie Vaughn, I think John Christ was actually no, John Christ was in Sam Hain. But Erie Vaughn was playing.
I actually got it the other way around. Erie Vaughn was in Sam Hain and Danzig. John Christ came on when Sam Hain became Danzig. So they had.
Oh, am I mixed? I'm getting that back. Okay, gotcha.
So they've been doing the Misfits reunion shows for several years now, but like one here and then maybe 6 months later another one over there because they're really, really, really big shows. So I didn't know if he was doing anything like I know he did the Sam Hain run. There's always something going on. I'm out of touch with all that stuff these days, but would have been nice to
I just heard some drama about the one in New York. Like he showed up and was like wanting his money before he went on stage or something like that.
Again, there's stuff that I really can't talk about in a public forum, but after we get off, we have some stories to share that'll.
You can edit all that out, sir.
Yeah, so just start bleeping right now. So 2020, it was either late 20, I think it was like February 2020, somewhere around there, that FFG announced that they were pulling the plug on Destiny after like a 4 to 5 year run, 9 complete sets, a couple 2-player, some draft kits, some starter set, this and that, and then just one day, boom. Was there any writing on the wall for you as somebody kind of on the inside as the owner of Highlander Games that saw that maybe coming before they actually announced it?
I didn't personally know. No, there was no. I didn't have a sense that it was going to happen. Looking back on it, I should have because there were some weird things going on during that period of time. I don't know if people remember this, but there was actually like plastic shortages in China that was affecting other board game manufacturers. WizKids, the company that makes HeroClix, they started making a game called Dice Masters, which was a sort of a superhero dice rolling game, nothing like Destiny, but its own collectible game. And there was just so many dice that were being manufactured for these dice games that it actually was creating plastic shortages. So like other board games were being delayed because they just didn't have material to make them. And this was starting to ramp up and happen while Destiny was like at its peak. And I didn't put one and one together, but looking back on it, it really makes sense. I mean, it was a really high, intensive manufactured game. If you think about it, I mean, their dice, I think that's one of the things that blew people away. When it came out, they were like, holy crap. I mean, they could have made like little 6-sided dice or whatever. Nobody would have thought twice about it. But instead, they're like these gigantic premium screen printed dice. I mean, they're gorgeous.
As my wife calls toddler dice because they're so big and basic colored. Like, yeah, that's about right. My toddler loves them. So, yeah, that tracks. Again, small world. I mentioned to my friend Bill and his son Liam who were Dice Masters players. Bill Kelter, who used to play Dice Masters with his son at Highlander, and you knew him.
Very much so, and me. I played Dice Masters with him.
So he used to tell me when I would try to get him to come play with Destiny with us, he's like, I think it kind of left a bad taste in his mouth. He's like, Destiny killed Dice Masters, and that was my love. I'm like, so now I know a little bit of the backstory of how that actually kind of played out. But Bill, so he's a music teacher in Vernon Township School, so he taught both of my older kids music for years. He was, when I was doing pool service, he was a customer of mine. I took care of his pool. I installed a pool heater for him. So other history there as well, but now he's one of my gaming dad's local buddies. But we'll see. I showed him the unlimited cards and was like, hey, every Sunday could be playing. Just saying, Bill. So we'll see if we can bring him and Liam back. That'd be pretty cool.
Unlimited is really like, it's the natural progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
From as soon as they ended Destiny, it was a manufacturing issue. It was making the dice. If you just make a card game, it's infinitely less expensive, and the logistics of it to make. So Unlimited is a no-brainer. Everybody knew it was coming.
Yeah, and it's I must admit, as a hardcore Destiny fan and player and supporter of the ongoing Destiny community through a renewed hope, I resisted. I was like, Unlimited, is that like the enemy? Because I don't want that to put an end to my continued passion here. But it's a good game. Not gonna lie, it's fast paced, which kind of has that Destiny feel. So I like that. The art at first I didn't jive with me, but then again, the art for Destiny, when I first got on, I was used to the photos, the movie stills from the Decipher game. I'm like, what's this painted stuff? I don't want to see this. Eventually that grew me. So you get older and you chill out and you realize, okay, a good thing's a good thing. Don't spoil it. So we're going to get into Unlimited a bit more here. But first and we're now an hour and 5 minutes into this episode that I swore was only going to take us an hour, Scott. Very sorry. But you and I have, we really have a lot to talk about. So after FFG pulled the plug, as you might or may not be aware, there were a couple groups that were like, well, hey, let's do this. Let's keep it going. Let's do a fan-made thing. The Coruscant Initiative stepped up. Godroll from Canada stepped up. New Destiny Hungary, obviously from Hungary, stepped up. Some of the top players from back in the day created a renewed hope. So they were all kind of jockeying for position here. It was like VHS versus beta, Blu-ray versus HD. And finally, we kind of had a clear winner with a renewed hope, just solidifying a spot in the quote-unquote market, as it were, and continuing to put out product. Although I will say New Destiny Hungary, even though they're a very small, just a Hungarian group, really, although they make cards in English as well, they are still putting out product. And they put out just as many sets as a Renewed Hope has. And they're really good cards. One of the things that they did was they brought in the green cards and green dice that Wild Horizons, that was supposed to be the last hurrah for FFG, was actually going to introduce green, like wilderness, wild creatures and wild dice. And NDH has done that. ARH has not. But so a Renewed Hope, we are now on this will be our 8th set coming out here, Awaiting Fate. Which means
congratulations, right?
I mean, so that means that we have a standard block of 6 sets, where the first set, Faltering Allegiances, has already rotated out, and there's a 2-player game in there somewhere as well that's part of that standard block, as well as a draft kit that's like an unofficial addition to AR. So it's like a legit thing. There are companies that are printing the cards, printing dice labels. You can get them. You can get the blank dice on AliExpress and label them yourself, or you can have somebody, you can buy them already labeled up. Keeping the lights on over here. So it's a legit product in that, yeah, we're still playing. We're still IRL a little bit, but definitely more on the TTS front. It's an LCG format, going back to the old FFG Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones LCG. Here's the entire set. Boom. Now go play. We're not chasing anything anymore. So there's some upsides to it. It's free, unless you want to pay somebody to print this stuff out. But there's nobody generating profits on it. There's no chasing anything. So that's kind of nice. But at the same time, how do you make that a thing for like Highlander games or Silver Sun games or any local game store that yes, we want to offer a spot for the community to come out and play, but we kind of need to wave our hand and keep the lights on at the same time. So is there product that I can move? Not really. So that's always been the unfortunate conundrum with a free fan made set like this. TTS, of course, going strong, weekly, monthly leagues. We've got worlds or brand championships coming up at Gen Con. Are you going to be at Gen Con by any chance this year? I know I see Rob there all the time.
I might.
Okay.
I've been absent from Gen Con for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I might. I do. I actually tend to like to go to Origins and Columbus a little bit more.
Okay.
It's not quite as far, and it's a little more board game centered, and it's not quite as crazy. Gen Con is just a madhouse now.
Oh my God, the running of the nerds is insane. Like 90,000.
I'm not the hugest fan of crowds of people.
Get it?
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I go there. We just do all our gaming in Lucas Oil Stadium, and I pretty much spend the 4 days in Lucas Oil Stadium in our two.
I love that they run games there now. That's just fantastic.
It's really cool.
The tunnel goes over there, right, from the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Goes underground.
That's awesome. I think they had the last time I went was like a couple years into when they had started using Lucas Field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while since I've been there, like probably 8 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at a place that big, for me to still run into Rob, like just walking the way, oh, hey, what's up? So what are the chances? But yeah, we'll be out there playing our grand championships for the U.S. Hopefully we'll get a couple dozen people playing. We're going to be live streaming some stuff. So Destiny is still going strong. For those that didn't get the memo, it's just not being sold anymore. So speaking of still going strong. There's a new set coming out any day now, end of the month. I'm hearing from Echo 3 from Oli that Awaiting Fate will be dropped upon us in the virtual sense, in that we can test play it out as a community, see if there's anything that we need to fix before we actually go to printed product via Laser Gaming or Kingwood Hobbies or just at your local Staples, which is how I tend to do things. So it is spoiler season. And you told me that when you played, Scott, that you were always a blue-red player. So you told me I could pick your battlefield accordingly. And I figured because we got some red spoilers that I would make you a red player today. So let's get into a renewed hope spoilers from Awaiting Fate, because that's the real reason people logged in an hour and 10 minutes ago, and they're like, dude, Tank, where are the friggin' spoilers, man? Come on. Scott's a nice guy and all, but I got, it's like spoiler o'clock now. So let's get to it, guys.
Let's stop yapping.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Let's talk about Enoch. My God, I totally butchered that. Let's talk about the Captain of the Guard.
Captain of the Guard. Yeah.
So you were asking me earlier when I first laid these upon you, what is this from? And this is from the new Ahsoka series, season 1.
Yeah,
which
I have
pretty
not
much
watched Ahsoka yet.
So here's double spoiler for you.
What a look, man!
Oh yeah.
So that's like a bronze face on a stormtrooper helmet.
Yeah, it's creepy and cool, like all at the same time. So there's a lot that went on in this season. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but you're gonna watch it. I know you're gonna watch it. You have to. You're a Star Wars fan. You got to finish up Andor first, though, which is pretty much the last set was Andor. So you could still be playing Destiny and know all about this stuff even without watching the show. Enoch, Captain of the Guard, he's a 9/12 for 10 health. So that's middle of the road there. You could do a 10 up 3 wide perhaps. So he's 2 ranged, 3 indirect for 1 indirect damage. So that's one of the new pay sides. Instead of just doing resources, you can actually pay 1 indirect damage to your team to resolve the 3 indirect. That came about.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that Wild Horizons introduced that the unreleased FFG set that was supposed to wrap everything up for us. And then New Destiny Hungry has done something similar, where instead of being 1 resource or 1 indirect damage, the pay side is actually like 1 discard. So discard 1 card to pay for some big die side. That just came out in their last set. I shared that with Echo 3, the lead designer for Renewed Hope, thinking, hey, that's something. I'd be willing to. I can't always pay a resource, but I can always do 1 damage, and I can almost always do 1 discard. So something to think about. Anyway, continuing on to 2 range, 3 indirect for 1 indirect, 1 focus, 1 disrupt, and then the special. We'll get into the special here momentarily. Yeah. So he is a character guard trooper. This was something that Echo 3 pointed out to me, that they didn't make him a leader, even though he's sort of the leader of Captain of the Guard. There are a lot of leaders already in the current sets, so they went with just Guard, and there might be some stuff coming that will capitalize on that. So we'll see. That might be a little hint to some stuff coming down the road. So after one of your effects defeats an opponent's character, so an effect meaning the resolution of a die, I would assume, could be an effect. Obviously, playing some kind of card.
Any game effect, right?
Okay.
That would.
Yeah,
pretty much anything you do to defeat an opponent's character is what that would count as, right?
One of your effects. Okay, if it defeats an opponent's character, this character may gain one of its character dice. Damn.
Oh, that's interesting.
You could knock out a big boy and chuck one of their dice on here. That is pretty awesome. And it's not like an I want to say epic event. I've been playing a lot of Unlimited. It's not like a once per game thing. Like each time you defeat an opponent, you can take one of their dice and put it on this guy. Whoa. Okay, if there's a way to break that, I'm gonna get to work on that right away. Man, oh man. So getting to the special, gain one resource, because we see he does not have the one resource side that most characters do. So he still kind of has that, but he also could do roll a die on a red upgrade or support you control with a cost of 3 or less into your pool. So a double roll in for a hot upgrade or a hot support. Man, for only 10 points. Wow, or sorry, 9 or 12 points rather. 10 health.
9, yeah.
Man, oh man. Okay. That's cool. And clearly villain, for those who haven't seen the show yet, Scott. But yeah, so this is our new red character.
Now you're gonna have to. It's been a long time since I played Destiny, so you have 30 points to build with, right?
You do.
Okay. Yeah. I know that's as basic as it gets, but I was just trying to remind myself of what the. It makes sense, 30 points. Fantasy Flight's married into that, so.
Yeah, give me. I just gotta let my wife know. My wife just tried to call. I didn't tell her I was kind of off recording here. Yeah, so 30-point team, 30 card deck, no less, no more. So that's spoiler number 1. I'm feeling pretty good about that one. That seems pretty cool. So there's got to be some other cards that probably go with that. We usually get a package. So let's see if we've got an upgrade that maybe we could roll in a second time if we hit the special. And look. So
is that that's like a screen cap on the art there?
For Enoch here, Enoch.
For Enoch.
Yeah, it's a screen cap that has been you can put it through a filter to make it look like it's been painted.
Nice.
Yeah, I do that in Adobe Illustrator. And it looks like they did the same thing here with the rotary blaster. That they took that from someone. That's not a screen cap, but Enoch is. Yeah, a lot of the newer stuff will be just a screen grab, and then there's a filter in Illustrator that'll make it look like it's been painted somehow. So you tweak
this rotary blaster art is sweet.
Yeah, I don't know what that's from. Fan made. So it's not new art. Otherwise, it would have the artist's name at the bottom. But yeah, the lighting on that is really, really cool. Scott, if you would like to take the honors on reading this card to us, I'd go for it by all means.
Absolutely. So we have an upgrade, Z6 Rotary Blaster. It's a neutral card. After you play this upgrade, if it is on a trooper, you may roll this die into your pool, so it doubles up on your action to get the die out into your pool. It plays nicely on Enoch, since he is a trooper. It is 2 ranged, 2 indirect, 1 resource, and then the ever popular 2 specials sides, which is cool. Although one of them, that's that new function you were talking about, where you have to do 1 indirect damage in order to play out that 1 special. Is that how that works?
Yep.
But having 2 specials is always strong. So in his special is deal 2 damage to up to 2 different characters. So he's spreading 4 damage potentially on his special. That is really, really. That is really a strong upgrade right there.
Yeah. So after you play this upgrade, if it's on a trooper, which Enoch is a trooper, you may roll this die into your pool. So there's your first roll in.
Just put it out.
Then you activate Enoch. and I hope I'm pronouncing that Enoch. And you roll it in again, and then if you hit the special on Enoch, you roll it in a third time. Damn.
So when you play the upgrade, you roll it out. You can resolve that die that's out in the dice pool as an action because it's already out into your dice. It's already rolled out, right?
Yep.
So then it comes back onto Enoch's card, and then you activate Enoch. Would roll both of them out. So this is still the same turn. You're right, right? You're getting the rotary blaster on play. You're getting it again when your trooper activates. And then the third time.
So if we hit the special on Enoch himself, you can get a resource, or you can roll in one that costs 3 or less. This costs 3. An upgrade that costs 3 or less. So you can roll it in a third time. And imagine hitting that special each time. Deal 2 damage to up to 2 different... I mean, holy crap. So there's a thing... That's
12 points to damage, potentially.
Yeah. So there's a thing in gaming, and I'm sure you're aware of the term power creep. As games progress, going down the line, and there was when ARH first came out, there was concern about power creep being like taking over the game, and it's almost, in my mind at least, my limited capacity here, necessary. If we keep putting out the same power level, we're just kind of repackaging what already was and calling it something else, and we're just still going to roll in the same thing. It's going to get stale. You're not going to have the longevity of 8 sets later if you're just playing the same cards and rolling the same dice over and over again. So the power creep is kind of necessary. Now, granted, in our standard set with A Renewed Hope, it's the current 6 blocks along with the 2-player game, and then a certain reprint list from the FFG days. So what we call the Echoes of Destiny reprint list, or a finite list of cards that are legal for current play, and that list rotates to keep refreshing and keeping the meta going. But there is really no. I mean, you could play unlimited. You can play whatever you want as far as infinite, rather. But you're not going to play modern ARH cards against the black boxes of FFG and expect it to end well. I don't know if you ever heard of Dice Commando's version of Destiny they call Destiny Smash, which is sort of the Magic did their Jumpstart packs where you open up 2 packs and smash them together and play. It's the same idea for Destiny with 15 card decks that you are randomly selected. You smash the 2 15 card decks together to make a 30-point team, 30 card deck, and then you play an opponent. It's very, very popular format. But we've got a lot of the FFG stuff, and we're just starting to do the ARH stuff, but we can't really mix them together because some of the power levels just they're not the same. So in a vacuum, this sort of card is freaking rad. With the synergy that we've got going on to make this happen. So I see we're doing both indirect and direct damage instead of just doing direct damage. And again, just knowing the synergy of the way the sets are designed, there's got to be a reason for it. And I know we have one more spoiler, so let's see if there's something that we can capitalize on there with all this different types of damage showing. And wouldn't you know it, a 2-cost red neutral event called Stand Down. Decrease the cost of this event by 1 for each different damage symbol showing on your dice. Now, knowing that you have multiple chances of rolling in that repeating blaster that we just saw, the C6, there's a good chance you're going to hit a ranged and you're going to hit an indirect, which now makes this a 0-cost event. And what does this event do? This event simply removes a die. Okay, let's clarify. That is not a character die. That is not a die showing damage. That's not a die with a value of 2 or less. That is any die showing any side can be removed potentially for 0. And it's neutral. You better believe every red deck that I'm running is going to be playing Stand Down. Oh my God. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And some really cool art too. Mandalorian warriors loyal to the Empire, Imperial super commandos were deadly and effective enforcers. They've got like their Z6 riot batons and the man. Oh wow. 0 cost removal. I can't get enough of it. There it is.
Nope.
Wow. Wow. So
I don't recall a lot of removal back in the day, um, which is great. I love I love seeing decent removal.
mhm.
It's the hallmark of a good card game when you always have answers to things and you never know what's going to happen as you're playing because
Mhm.
somebody pulls out something, changes the whole
Yep.
the whole tenor of where you're at.
Yeah. There's
Cozy.
I am known for not playing a lot of mitigation because I just aggro. My mitigation is killing your characters. Now you've lost those dice. But it doesn't always. Not that works. That's just my style. I should lean into a little bit more of the mitigation. And when it's zero cost, all day, every day, man. That's really
No,
cool.
aggro is a thing.
Yeah,
Not
believe me.
everybody wants to play control.
No, and I mean, going now into full steam ahead with Star Wars Unlimited, and having played in several pre-release and draft events, I've always just kind of gravitated to Sabine and just gone straight after the base and just aggroed the snot out of my opponent, and it's about a 2-1 win ratio. So yeah, totally suits me well. I have not done the Iden or the Thrawn or any of the other control-y sort of things yet. Probably can't wrap my IQ around those, unfortunately. But so that is our that's our spoiler package. So thank you for sharing those with us. And again, so going into so we're not the only ones going, wow, look at the spoilers. Little Audrey there is looking at the spoilers going, man, those are some hot cards there, Daddy. So that's actually my lovely wife, Faye, and Audrey when she was very, very young, still a redhead, playing some Destiny at Silver Sun Games. So Audrey now is this rambunctious, running around the place going nuts, little blonde girl.
Yeah, little towhead. What happened to the red hair?
Yeah, she, for the first 4 months of her life, she was like fire red. And then one day we went to get her out of the crib and she was blonde. Okay, we'll do this now. So her grandmother would, the same, Faye's mother, was the same way. So it's a hereditary thing. But she's got her cute little fuzzy Chewbacca dice roller that she gets a kick out of.
I love it.
So hopefully soon I'll actually get Audrey like sitting down and playing some games with us instead of just terrorizing everybody at Highlander, wrecking the place.
She is a doll. She doesn't. She is a good kid. Let me tell you.
I as the parent, I'm always like, is she bothering you? Is that cool? Thank you so much. Oh, it's tough. It's a juggle.
She's curious, but you know what? She's just checking things out. She's fun.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
You guys have been very accommodating, letting me bring in like huge bags of toys and letting her run around and lay on the floor. Like, oh, we'll just step over. It's okay. So thank you for that.
Fabric of community, man.
Right, but and the biggest upside of this is that it gives my wife about a 6 or 7 hour window of like peace and quiet. The place is her own to do with as she wishes. Yeah,
getting those breaks is important, man.
It's huge. It's huge. So so speaking of Unlimited and Highlander games, so Unlimited's like the new hotness now. I mean, look at this guy. He's turning his back on Lorcana, Magic, and Pokemon to check out Star Wars Unlimited. We've got product that was produced in big numbers, and now they're selling out everywhere. We've got you guys at Highlander. So we had 40 people at your pre-release, and I know we had like 20 up at Silver Sun, which is not bad for that location. And looking here, so this is the main room. We had to spill over to the lower room, which was actually good for me because I could kind of hunker down in the corner somewhere. And you capped at that. Like I think you had to like at 40. You're like, okay, that's it. We can't take anymore.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's it's card game players are kind of tribal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played this game, and that's great. You love the game you play. You're very dedicated to it. And it's not often that somebody who's, a very dedicated player of a certain card game will pick up another one and be like, hey, but that's happened. Like people are like, they're seeing people playing, so they're curious, and they might be out every week playing Magic or Pokemon or whatever, Lorcana. We have a great Lorcana community. A little shout out, George Gephardt, one of our Lorcana players, won the 5K Lorcana at SCG Con down in Philadelphia.
Way to go, George.
So our Lorcana community is pretty well known as a high competitive play.
Nice.
But they're asking, they're like, hey, show me a demo. Can I try this? And as like Destiny players know what I loved about Destiny. It's so simple, but alternating actions is just
Yep.
a genius thing. I mean,
Yeah.
every card game you play is, well, I mean, Lorcana alternates actions too, which is kind of cool. But every card game you play, for the most part, you play your turn, then your opponent plays your turn. Maybe there's some interrupt cards of some sort that you might play on your opponent's turn, but a lot of games they don't have that. You do your thing, then your opponent does their thing, and going back and forth, it just makes. And I'm speaking to the choir here. Destiny players know this better than anybody, but there's no such thing as an auto-win deck. You're going to build your 30 points in your 30 card deck, but it is how you play it is going to be the difference. You could, if you don't play it well, you're going to lose against a lesser deck and with a superior player, because they're going to play the cards in the right order. They're going to prioritize what needs to be done. They're going to do the things that need to be done at the right way, in the right timing. And Unlimited just carries that forward, that same elegant alternating actions of everything that you do. I love it.
I go, you go, I go.
I loved it with Destiny, and I love it with Unlimited now.
Yeah. There were playing in your pre-release a couple weeks ago. There were several players that I played against that I would do my action. I'd play my thing, and I'd sit and I'd wait. And I assumed that they were like thinking about their next move, and I'm still waiting. And I'm still like, it's your turn. And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm so used to playing Pokemon or Magic or what. Like I was waiting for you to finish your whole thing. No, it's it's fast paced. It's back and forth. And yeah, that's addictive. It really is, because it's like playing War, wham, 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 or Uno, or I don't know, one of those really fast paced sort of kid card games. Going back to the days of Decipher and how there were multiple battles going on at any given time. It could be out in space, could be down on the ground. Immediately, my eldest and I played I think it was the very first demo of Unlimited at Gen Con last year. And right away I was like, oh, there's a ground arena and there's a space arena. Where have I done that before? But I mean, hey, a great idea is a great idea. I'm not knocking that. So it's very cool that you kind of have two battles going on at once, that they can, if you kind of cheat this or that, you can kind of cross the streams. But for the most part, you're either arena dodging or arena denying, or you're doing something between the arenas. So it's unique in that regard. It's just it's been a lot of fun. Drafting has been great. It's a great game for drafting. I hope that even as we get into more and more sets, that like the draft will just be like a regular thing, helping to build, helping to sell product for guys like you, helping collectors like us get more product, and then just have fun all at the same time. Time doing it. So speaking of product, how are you guys holding up now though? And I'm hearing like people are having a hard time getting booster boxes.
Well, FFG is currently out of stock. They're they announced that last Friday, which came as a surprise. I mean, I have a call with my FFG rep every week, and he was like, "Oh, we're plenty. I'm going to let you know if we're starting to get low or what have you." We sold a lot of product through Highlander, and we had a restock, and thankfully my timing of my restock was right before they ran out, so our shipment got out the door just as they were saying we're out. So that was nice. Yeah. But there's a lot of it's a thing, and people love to Chicken Little it these days, but you really just have to, it's a good problem to have. If it's sold out, it means there's a lot of people playing it, and there's a lot of people enjoying the game, and that means it's a robust community. And what all of us want as players of games is we want to play a game and love a game that other people are playing and loving as well, because the worst thing is when you play and love a game, you can't find anywhere to play it. So it's a good problem to have. It's being played everywhere. Stores all over the place are running events. And Fantasy Flight, to their credit, they seem to take a lot of what they learned with Destiny, and they really applied it well here. And I think this, I'm gonna say it, in my time in the gaming business, this is the best rollout of a trading card game I've ever seen.
Really?
Just on this scale, on this large of a game, to have a pre-release at your first set, I'm not sure that always happens. Pre-releases kind of come after, like here's the release of this game, and then down the road we'll start having pre-releases of future sets. I mean, a pre-release of a game that's not out is just amazing. And then the organized play, the promos that they're putting out, they're getting, product and promos and organized play kits into the hands of stores. We have plenty of promo packs and such that we're handing out at all of our events, and they're super cool. I mean, they're alternate arts that are unique to the promos. They're not even like something you can't get them anywhere else. I mean, it's a unique thing you only get from those promo packs. I mean, that's what we love as players, right? We just love cool stuff.
We do. And that was one thing that Destiny didn't have, was for the collectors or the chasers, the foils, the alt arts, the hyperspaces, the full arts. I mean, we had the promos.
Now and then, we had those kits. They had the Orabesh promos, the Orabesh Ray and Kylo and things like that. But they were limited. You're right. They didn't come off.
They weren't in packs. You didn't chase them in packs. You just got the 5 cards and the 1 die in the pack. After having opened so many packs of Destiny cards, and I've still got so many like unopened cases of Destiny product for like future retro booster drafts or whatever. Because when Destiny ended and the price dropped out of the market, it dropped. I was like, all right, well that's cheap. I'll scoop that up for whatever reason. But now to open a pack that's got like 15, 16 cards in it, it's like hitting the jackpot. Oh my god! And there's definitely a foil, and there's definitely a rare or legendary. There might be a legend. There might be a couple legendaries if I get lucky in this pack. Who knows? So there's fun in opening the packs. It's fun, obviously. Yeah, and playing
with all the alternate arts and the full art, the hyperspace promos, and the hyperspace alternates and such. It's a really great experience opening a pack. I mean, you could in your common slots, it's like, oh, here's a Battlefield Marine in green, and it's a hyperspace, cosmetic, alternate. Awesome, right there in a common slot. It's fun.
And I noticed some good distribution when I opened a booster box, and I kind of sorted them by like, okay, these are the rares and legendaries. Here's the uncommons, and here's all the commons. And when I sorted them to put them into the library, I noticed that for every common, I had like 2 or 3. It was never less than 2. It was never more than 3. It was either 2 or 3. And 3 is pretty much what you want if you're going to be playing the actual game. And I was like, that's good. Okay, I expect it's going to be a little different on the obviously on the legendaries and things like that. But for the commons to be just have that cadence to how they drop, I was very pleased to see that. 24 packs in a box, and the prices are good for the number of cards you actually get by the time you open everything up. I love sorting cards, so having like just a stack of cards, I'm like, here we go, just gonna organize. I'm just gonna organize. It's a silly thing. It calms me down. But so you had 40 people at your pre-release. That was the main room. Down in the lower room, you've got this heavy-set middle-aged balding guy here with a huge bag of toys and stuffed animals. Don't know who let him in there. This is the dungeon, as I call it, because you actually kind of step down into it. It's a little more it's cozy, for lack of it's a cool little room. So we had such a good time. That was unfortunately so you were playing best of 3, and you did 3 rounds of best, so 9 games potentially, and that's great for somebody 52. But for somebody who's 2, I think Supreme.
She hung in there for a while.
She hung in.
For sure.
She hung in, but then Supreme and I finally, we were 2 undefeated players going head to head, and we're ready to do this. And then somebody hit a wall, not literally, but figuratively. And I was like, I got a scoop. It's been nice, but so that's gonna happen. It'll get easier. But it's funny, the battle of the nicknames there, Tank and Supreme. Speaking of Supreme, I think he is in. So this was a draft. I think the following weekend, or this was last Tuesday. There's Supreme in the background over by the cash register.
So that's actually him standing up there talking. Supreme has accepted the official position as Highlanders tournament organizer for Star Wars Unlimited. So he is our
great.
He is our player rep. He's going to be he's running our events. He's helping us organize things.
Right on.
Making sure, just helping the community. He's a great guy.
He is.
Just
he is.
when you meet him, he is just one of the most personable people you'll ever meet, and he's a great player. He's fun to play against. He's competitive. One of the things I love is a player who can play at the highest level, but they also know how to take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing, because usually a competitive player, you're used to playing a certain way,
Yeah.
and I respect that. There's even a theory about if you're a competitive player, you always play that way because you can build bad habits by not playing that way. I get that, but I really like a guy that they can play in any environment. He can play casually, he can play competitively. Yeah, so he's heading things up for us, and we're real happy about that.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And we've landed on Sundays. Sundays is our regular league meetup now.
Yep, I will do my best to be there with little Audrey on Sunday and see how this
welcome
goes.
anytime. Welcome anytime.
Yeah, very cool. Well, as a pure compasual player, my foot's always on the gas, and it usually just heads me straight into a wall. But we'll figure out how I can steer a little better, maybe down that competitive ramp. So guys, if you're anywhere in northern New Jersey or the northern hemisphere or just on planet Earth, I can't recommend enough going and checking out Highlander Games. Legendary, yes, but obviously you've got great guys like Scott, you've got Rob there, you've got Supreme now running stuff. Just a great crew. I've always felt from the first moment I walked in the door years ago with my wife, I immediately felt like made right at home. There was no pretentiousness like, oh, a noob, but like, no, there was none of that. And great product. I mean, the shelves are just packed with awesome stuff. Unlimited is not the only thing that they're playing, obviously. I mean, I know Rob's been trying to get me to come out and do some of the 40K stuff, which I was a big 40K player, not competitively or like in any kind of public form, but just back in the day, 3rd edition to 5th edition, I have like 25,000 points of Space Marines, and that's just one of 5 armies.
Yep.
But once 6th edition rolled out, I was like, I can't keep changing my armies every few years, Games Workshop. I'm sorry. I don't have that kind of money. So if anybody wants to play some retro 5th edition 40K, hit me up sometime. I got some massive armies. It would be Total Apocalypse Games, because that was always the scale I went to. But anyway, Highlander Games, can't recommend that. Scott, I can't thank you enough. Hopefully this has been fun for you too. It's been a blast for me hearing about like just what it was like back in the day for those of us that completely missed it, like literally came on board just as the game died. And many of the ARH players today kind of same boat, like, oh, this is a great game. Did we still play this? Hello, not anybody. So I'm hoping to talk to some of the other names from back in the day, some of the people that we mentioned, if I can kind of exhume their bodies and resurrect them. We'll talk about some of their experiences. I promised you this was only going to take an hour. I'm clocked at an hour and 40 minutes right now, plus an hour of tech espionage before we even started. So I do apologize to you for that.
Time for you to start editing, sir.
Yes. And I apologize to anybody who actually sat through all this waiting for just 3 spoilers. But hopefully you got something good out of this, because I sure did. Just
I do appreciate the invite, and the nostalgic walk down memory lane is fun. I'm an old guy, so I always love talking about fun times past,
the good old days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do several.
Absolutely.
I've been on several Misfits YouTube interviews, and the way, okay, this week, this year, we're talking about these years, and I'll kind of get some ideas before we start talking, but like as they're asking me questions, like, oh my God, that reminds me about the time in Brazil that this happened. Like, and it's kind of fun because it brings back some of the good old times and some of the nightmares as well that I'd completely forgotten about. So hopefully we jogged that memory for you a little bit there, buddy. So very cool. Well, Scott, thank you so much. I will see you in just a few days. And we'll share some some Danzig stories. We'll share some other stuff that we couldn't share on here in a public forum. And we'll maybe I'll bring Twix down and we'll play some old 3M bookshelf games while we're at it.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Right? That would be so.
That would be amazing.
We got to make it happen, buddy. Well, get home to your family. I've got some other recording to do. And folks, remember, the scum will be with you always. We'll see you next time.
The scum
Will be with you always.